Humans, pure up until the time they learn to walk and talk. Then no matter what, each and every last human finds a way to become broken, not knowing where the line between reality and fantasy comes to an end. Let's take a look at that from a different perspective. This is Stories from a Different Perspective by J.L. Sweeney, as told by Argus Trewin. I am Argus Trewin. Story number 4, Run It Again. Ellis, damn it, son. If you won't get your ass moving and block someone, I'll get someone who wants to play. Now run it again. I shook my head and stepped back to watch the play. At the snap, Ellis stood, made a false step forward, and knowing that he had messed up again, slowed down. The tackle rammed into his back, and he tripped over the left foot of the center. The fullback then crashed into him, knocking him down and falling over him, totally destroying the play. I ran over to him and could see the fear in his eyes as I jerked him to his feet. Get your ass out of here. I don't want to see you again until you can come back here and make a good block. He turned to go and I could see the tears welling up in his eyes. Get out! I shouted again. He ran and I could tell he was crying. I turned and for a split second looked deep into the eyes of Laurelton. He was the type of kid who had a cold, dark, dead look to his eyes and face. Sometimes you could tell that he was thinking about killing you. It was an eerie feeling, and you could never tell if he was close to snapping or not. I felt the impact, but it didn't really hurt. It was a sudden shock, and then things went black. Laurelton was a self-proclaimed savior of the downtrodden. He was a hero among the younger, nerdier kids. Anytime one of the high school jocks or bullies picked on a younger kid, he was assured a visit from Laurelton. Aside from the horrible things he would tell people that he would do to them, he had a glare that could turn a person's blood chilly. It gave you the feeling that he was looking into your soul, trying to figure out your deepest fears and then exploit them. He was a scary kid. Oh, where the hell am I? My head hurt like hell, and it was difficult getting my eyes to focus. Happens. Lie still, son. Catch your breath. That voice sounded familiar, but I couldn't immediately place it. After a few moments, my head began to clear, and when my eyesight tuned in, I found myself looking into the face of my old high school football coach. How many fingers am I holding up? He asked. Coach? I asked. He smiled. You'll be all right. Get him some water. He'll be all right. Now run it again. It took me a couple days to get it sorted out, but this is what I came up with. Laurelton had hit me, and somehow I had been transported back to my freshman year in high school. My mind was the same as it had been before the hit, but my body had returned to the gangly, uncoordinated condition it had been nearly 26 years before. I felt like a king. High school had been a struggle the first time, but classes were a breeze now. I tried to keep as inconspicuous as I had been back then, but it was difficult. In class, I knew the answers to all of the questions. At practice, I was beginning to catch the coach's eye. What a gift to have been given a second chance. The first game was coming up, and it was looking like I was going to get to start. In my original history, I had not gotten to start a game until I was a junior. This time around, I was going to start as a freshman. I had the knowledge, and I knew I could make my body perform. Coach called me into his office that Thursday and told me I was going to get the start at wide receiver. I thanked him and left. This time, I would make my life turn out the way I had wanted. As I left the locker room, I noticed Jessica Robinson watching me from the foyer. Many of the girls used to come and watch practice, but none had ever given me a second glance. Yet here she was, smiling at me. I took a deep breath and walked up to her. Hi, Jessica, I said. What's up? She was a junior and probably the most beautiful and popular girl in school. I heard you get to start tomorrow night, she said. I was surprised at how fast the news traveled since I had just heard myself. I guess Coach figured I worked harder than anyone else in practice this week. I just hope I don't let the team down. She looked into my eyes and gave me a smile that made my knees weak. I watched you at practice, and I'm sure you'll do awesome. I took a deep breath and smiled back. Thanks, I stuttered. Are you going to the game? I already knew what she was going to say, but it would sound great coming from her. I wouldn't miss it for the world, was her reply. I was going to live like a king for the next 4 years. This is how it should have been the first time. Sitting quietly in the locker room before the game, I had the eerie feeling of déjà vu. I thought back to my very first game, in which I only saw action during warm-ups, and recalled that we had lost 43-10. I was going to try to make sure that it didn't happen again. We were down by 4 with 36 seconds left on the clock when Coach called a slant and go. I made a move outside and then broke hard toward the middle of the field. Toffel, the quarterback, threw the ball with a perfect lead, and I caught it in stride. The only guy to beat was the safety, and I had the advantage of going full speed. He tried to cut back and slipped. 40 yards later, I was a hero. It was a great season. We were undefeated state champs. I ended up with 33 receptions for 793 yards and 14 touchdowns. I got to sleep with Jessica and 5 other girls that year. I was on easy street, and I wasn't going to stop for anything. 2 more state championships followed, and I was assured of going to a bigger college this time. I might even be able to get a full-ride scholarship somewhere. I was the hometown hero. Parents, teachers, everyone loved me. I had been quite the man slut, but even the girls I had only spent one night with still thought I was great. This life was better than my first try, and my senior year was going to be a blowout year. Time for the first game arrived, and there were 11 college scouts in the stands. I was going to drain someone for as much as I could get, too. I figured that I might even get a shot at the pros if I could get into a big school. I had to start this game with a bang, so I suggested a play to Coach. He smiled and gave the go-ahead. Spread right, 32, play pass, on down. Center ready? Right! I grinned as I trotted up to the line. First offensive play of the season, and I was going to make it my first touchdown. Down! I released outside, sprinted downfield. The cornerback following me released me to the free safety, who began his back pedal. At 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, I cut left across the middle of the field. It was a great ball, and I was bringing it to my body when I caught the blur of red motion out of the corner of my eye. The strong safety had not bitten on the play action and was coming at me full speed. I tried to tuck the ball and braced for myself for the hit. Our eyes met, and for a split second, it was Laurelton coming at me again. He hit me high, and my head snapped back. As before, there was no pain, just the feeling of impact. I felt myself falling, but blacked out before I hit the ground. I coughed. It was an ammonia capsule. I opened my eyes and looked into the face of Gerard Akers, the athletic trainer at the college where I'd played football. What the hell? I stammered. Where the hell am I? I looked at Akers and he nodded at me. What is the date? He asked. I shook my head. You're out until I can get a better look at you. Can you get up? With Gerard's help, I stood and walked weakly toward the sideline. What the hell is going on? I asked again. You were going across the middle and got T-boned by their middle linebacker. Now sit down and drink some water. My head didn't clear until I was in the shower at the end of the game. We lost 17-0. It seemed that the hit I took in the high school game had launched me forward into my junior year of college. Over the rest of the weekend, I sorted out my current life. I was getting a 4.0 GPA. I'd received a full-ride scholarship. I was having the perfect college experience. Star football player, perfect grades, beautiful girlfriend. I had it all. Monday's practice was horrible. I felt like I was running on eggshells when I ran my routes. I was afraid to get hit. This was the best my life had ever been, and I didn't want it to be ruined. I damn sure didn't want to be sent back to where I was before Laurelton hit me. Get in here, Coach yelled at me from his office. I knew I was going to get chewed. Of the 8 passes that had been thrown to me, I caught 2. I didn't make an attempt at 3 of them, and the other 3 I pulled away from when I heard footsteps. Just what the hell is your problem? For 2 years, you come here and catch everything thrown to you in practice and games. Now you take one shot and turn into a coward? You better straighten up, son, or you won't be making it to the pros. I left his office, and the words echoed in my mind. Coach stepped into the huddle with a frown on his face. He looked around the group until he got to me. Narrowing his eyes, he grabbed my face mask and jerked me toward him. You freaking want to play on my field again? He snarled. I nodded. Then get your ass out there and catch the damn ball. If you cringe away again, you can turn your shit in. I don't have time for a receiver who won't go up for the ball. Now run it again! The huddle broke and I jogged up to the line. I could see the safety in the corner on my side laughing and pointing at me. The ball was snapped and I took off. It felt like I was running faster than I'd ever run before. Gritting my teeth, I cut across the middle of the field too shallow. The throw was high and I stretched out to get it. I thought I'd beaten my fear and had the ball as it touched my fingers as a linebacker hit me hard in the midsection, doubling me over. I still had the ball in my hands and was still on my feet when the safety plowed into my back. My arms felt limp as he drove me into the ground and I felt the ball slip away. The last thing I saw was a rush of bodies as players scrambled for the loose ball. And you say you woke up with police officers slapping handcuffs on you and dragging you to a police car. I nodded to the doctor. Can you loosen this jacket? It's a little too tight. It's cutting off the circulation of my arms. I wiggled around a bit to get comfortable. You know I can't do that, so it's a waste of time to ask again, the doctor commented. I've been researching your history. There is no record of you ever playing high school or college football. There is no record of you ever being a teacher or coaching football. I haven't been able to find a work or criminal history on you. It seems that you don't even exist in the system. I began to shake my head violently. No, 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 I shouted. I am a high school and college football star. I have a beautiful girlfriend. I'm going to be a professional. I am going to be a professional. I continued shouting, and soon a man came into the room. The doctor stood up, and the man handed him a syringe. Don't you touch me with that fucking thing, I wheezed. The orderly grabbed me, and the doctor approached cautiously. This will only sting a little bit, and then you'll drift off to sleep. I sighed and went limp, and the orderly relaxed his grip. The doctor leaned forward with the needle, and I kicked hard at his crotch. It felt great, and I knew that I'd laid a great hit on him. The orderly tried to grab me again, and I jerked my head backwards, delighted by the sound of crunching bone. I felt something warm spray the back of my head as I jumped up to run for the door. The end zone was just through that door, and I would be the hero again, if I could just make it through. The door jerked open, just as I got to it, and I felt victory slipping away. There was only one defender to beat, and I knew that I could run over him. I lunged forward and got a good look at the face as his fist came down against my jaw. It was Laurelton again. What the hell was he doing here? The punch rocked me, but I kept pumping my legs, and I crashed into him and knocked him backwards through the door. We fell, and I was sure I was across the goal line, but before I could get back up, I felt a bee sting my left butt cheek. I rolled over with tears in my eyes. I hadn't made it. I had lost. I wasn't going to be the hero. I began wailing, but it wasn't long before the drugs kicked in and I was asleep. The orderlies stop and talk to me every now and again about football. I don't get any visitors, so I spend most of my time making up plays. I'm sure I've made up some of them 5 or 6 times because they don't let me have anything to write with, and I have trouble remembering things after I take my medicine. They say I'm making progress and that I may be able to leave pretty soon. When they tell me this, I get excited. I know it won't be long before I can either coach or play again. Different perspective, humans. Catch you on the flip side. Oops, I think that's copyright infringement. Let's not go with that. From a different perspective, humans. Enjoy. Peace out.